Oh, thanks, Heather. Good reminder. Totally forgot. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Jess. Okay, guys, I'm going to get started. I think we're live on Facebook and people are still looking for the link. However, they can jump on as soon as they get it. So today, I want to start like we always do. I know actually, I think almost all of you are driving, so maybe don't post in the chat. But if you aren't driving and you want to post in the chat, one thing that you are grateful for today, we like to start with some gratitude. So would love to hear what something that you are grateful for. If you can type. And I was thinking this morning, I'm grateful for, I do a 21 days of prayer and fasting with a church in Alabama, Church of the Highlands, every year in January, and they do it in the fall also. Oh, Daniel, worship night last night at church. Love it. They do it again in the fall, and it just started on Sunday. So I'm grateful for the refresh because midway through the year, it's nice to be able to have that kind of get back on track with some things that I was doing at the beginning of the year. Family on their way to Charleston, and Debbie wasn't too bad. Wait, I don't know who's posting that from one team. Is it? Oh, it's Heather. Wait. Why did I not know that you were on as one team? Hold on. Oh, now I see you in the thing. That's hilarious. I was like, who is that? Wait, so Peyton is coming. Yay. Okay, good. That makes me happy. Awesome. Okay, guys. So today we're going to do a quick mindset lesson on stress. Jill's on. Jill, happy belated birthday. I cannot believe I missed your birthday. I saw it this morning and felt so bad. I was like, oh, I have to text her. But I hope you had the best birthday. Uh-oh, she froze. Okay, so I want to talk about stress. I have been talking to a lot of agents, really just a lot of people in general right now that feel like stress is at an all-time high. And if you are a person that maybe isn't feeling a lot of stress right now, then that's great, fantastic. However, it can pop up out of nowhere. And I found this graphic and it's like a little bit deflating. However, it's pretty true. You could be stressed about your finances, your career. You could be exhausted. You could not like the people you work with. You could have debt. You could just be in some sort of like confusion space or frustrated or money or whatever. There's lots of different things that people can be stressed about. And I think right now, with so much going on in our world, it just feels like we're in a much more stressful environment anyway. So Daniel, great job getting to worship night last night. That probably helped you relieve a little stress. But I wanted to talk a little bit about and here's another graphic just for fun. Like if anybody is feeling like they might have a rock on their back or on their shoulders, or they're just carrying a heavy load right now. I definitely go through times where I feel that way. And actually, Adam woke up this morning. Heather, you'll appreciate this. And he was already up, and then when I got up and he'd just come back from the gym, and I said, I didn't sleep very good last night because of Frankie. Frankie was up again last night, and he said, I didn't sleep good because I was thinking about a million things I had going on in my mind for like from 3:30 until 6 or 6. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the gym. I'm not going to think about it anymore. But I said, did stuff just pop up? And he said, yeah, it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. So you just don't know when you might feel more stressed than usual. So I want to talk about stress and give you guys a little bit of relief, hopefully at the end, with some tools that you can use if you are dealing with stress. So the top 3 stressors for most Americans are number 1, money, number 2, work, and number 3, family life. And pretty much anything that's happening in your life, you can say falls into one of these 3 categories. It is either money. You might be at a stage where you're not worried about money, but your work is so stressful, but you need the work to fund the money, to fund the lifestyle, or you might have just things going on in your family. But I love the definition of stress is nothing more than when the pressure is greater than the capacity. And we've actually talked about this before on here. It's been years. I think it was like during the pandemic. But when pressure exceeds the capacity for the thing, that's stress. That's when stress pops out. And so where I learned this from, this leader gave the example of a bridge with too much weight on it will exceed the capacity and it will snap, right? Or an adult sitting in a child's chair, the weight will make the chair snap or break because the weight exceeds the capacity for what the chair was built for. And really the bad news in life is that the pressure really isn't going to go away. At some, we're always going to have pressure in some way, shape, or form. So what we have to focus on is increasing our capacity to be able to deal with the pressure, so that we know that the pressure is not going to go away. So for those of you, I know a lot of you like biblically are people of faith. So I have the Bible verses in here that correlate with these, and we can share them with you afterwards, because I know many of you are driving. I'll put them in the Facebook group. But I want to share 5 tools for increasing your capacity to actually be able to deal with the stress. And so the first one, number 1, is our capacity will increase when we allow our minds and body to recover. And a lot of times we don't do that. In fact, Heather and I were joking because right now we have a tropical storm happening in Charleston, and it's been raining nonstop. And so there's not really much to do. Like, you're pretty much in your house. And when you're used to doing stuff all the time, then to not do anything feels so weird. You're like going stir crazy. But I was actually laughed this morning when I reread through this, because sometimes our bodies and minds actually just need the chance to recover. And so they gave the example of a man chopping over and over and over again at a tree. And someone asked him why he didn't just stop and sharpen the saw. And he responded, because I didn't have time. And so a lot of times it's like we just keep going and going and going and going, when really if we would just stop, like allow our minds and our bodies to recover, AKA sharpen the saw, it will increase our capacity. And we really have to do that because we have imbalances in the way that we live in life. And I don't have this on here, but I love what John Maxwell says. No one's ever going to have a perfectly balanced life, because there's no such thing, but there are seasons of our life. And so some seasons may be more stressful than others. Some seasons may have a little bit more time than what you have to recover. Other times, you might be in a really, really busy season. So you're never going to have a perfect balanced life. You're just going to have different seasons. And for those of you that are people of faith, that's really biblically what the Sabbath is all about. A lot of us don't rest on Sundays like we should, but some of us do. And so you have to, y'all, Frankie's about to go nuts because he wants a bone. So you have to really think about, how are you giving your body and your mind the actual time that it needs to rest and recover? And what does that look like? What are some things that you can do to be able to allow yourself to recover, to increase your capacity? Number 2 is our capacity increases when we know who we are. Number 1 made me laugh, but it's so true. We're living in the most narcissistic time on earth. And actually, I was talking to somebody 2 days ago, and I said, well, what would make you feel better about the situation? And she said, I don't know. They're just a narcissist. I don't have another way to say it like that. I don't know how to deal with people like that. And the reality is that that's true. Social media increases this in a really, really, really big way. I feel like the enemy lives in this space big time. And then it gets into our self-talk. And I love this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And so if we can be really strong in knowing who we are, that will help us to increase our capacity, because we don't let the outside noise or the outside world affect us, which is much easier said than done, by the way. But I had in here too, like, we're using the word processing now so much, where we're like, I don't know, I really need to process that, or I really need to process through that. When really for people of faith, like, we should be going to God's word and not like our own thoughts and our own feelings, because when you have the God confidence, the pressure goes away. And again, biblically, I have the verses in here for those of you that want that. But for those of you, and now I'm laughing, Heather, because I know Keith is listening, and I have a cow example, and that was in here before I knew Keith was listening. But John Maxwell gives the example of ruminating cows and how they just kind of like roam everywhere. And that's the exact same thing with our negative thoughts. Like, once we start to get thoughts in our head or in our mind, they just start to ruminate, like they roam everywhere, and it's hard for us to get control of those thoughts sometimes. And so if we really know who we are and we're firm in our values and what we believe in, then we don't have to have those negative thoughts roaming around in our head as much as what they were before. Number 3, for increasing your capacity to deal with stress, is to know what we were created to do. And so this is about really confirming and knowing your calling and your assignment. And this is your gift. Like if you have not, one of my great friends and an awesome, super smart leader, Taylor Davis, just wrote a book. But actually, I know some of you are in my offices. If you're in my offices, don't buy it yet, because towards the end of the year, I have a surprise for you. But he wrote a book called Parable for the Republic. And it's really, really good. It's so awesome. But what he talks about is we all have these talents, we all have these gifts, and how do we actually multiply them? And when you get in a space of knowing what your gift is and your talent, and once you figure that out and you can start to multiply it, then your capacity can increase. And you maybe won't be as stressed as normal because your calling technically has a competitor. And it could be that you're too busy or your career comes first or whatever it is that could compete with your calling. Frankie is going to have to join us. Or keeps you from like the peace that you need to deal with the stress that you have. Also, we need to minimize the non-essentials and maximize our calling. And this is a stupid, silly example, but even little things like I'm getting ready to do a closet clean out, or getting rid of stuff around your house, or getting rid of like too much, maybe things that you like collect or whatever it is. Minimizing the non-essentials and maximizing your calling will also increase your capacity and help you deal with stress. In Ecclesiastes 4:6, it talks about just like too much stuff. And that's a good reminder for me because I'm a hoarder, and Adam would very much so tell you that. And so we just need to know why we were created in order to increase our capacity. Number 4, our capacity increases, and this is one of my favorite ones, when we are supported by others. We need community more than ever. We are a community-made being. So like we crave on community. We like to be around other people. Even if you are like a introvert, or you like to be alone, you still need some sort of a community, whether it's your family or whatever that is. If you have no one to support you or help you when you are stressed, it worsens. So you can't increase your capacity without having a great community around you. Another way this is said is your who's are what is most important when you need to increase your capacity and being supported by others. So this is one question I really want you to ask yourself, like, do you have good who's around you? And maybe think of who they are. And if you don't have good who's around you, then what would be one of the first things that you could do to move in the direction of getting some new who's? I'm actually going through a program right now with Rory Vaden's company called Brand Builders to continue to just grow and define my brand. And yesterday I had a 2-hour strategy call with them. And one of the things that we talked about as you kind of go through and tell your story of like who you are and how you got to where you are and all those things. And then that helps you build your brand, because Rory Vaden says you are perfectly positioned to serve the person that you used to be. And so whatever it is that you've overcome or gone through, like typically you can serve those people the best. And as I was going through my story with my brand strategist, I told her, really for me, it's been who luck, like being around the right who's and being able to just be in some of the rooms and learn and be around people like Linda or John Maxwell or Heather or whoever, that just make me a better person. And so you have to really know who your who's are. And when you're in community, you can increase your capacity, and that helps you deal with stress. And then lastly, number 5, tool to increase your capacity. Oh, Dylan Ballard's on. Is when our capacity increases when God's helping you. And whether you're a person of faith or not, like if you believe in a higher power, that's awesome. But for me, that's God. So it says, don't be in faith because of what you get, be in faith because of what you're doing, and like because you're doing it for the Lord, like it's your spiritual calling. And I love being reminded of this because most of our stress in life comes from ignoring the basic spiritual principles. And sometimes we don't want to think that, but it's true. Like we need to be able to recognize those first because they're all in there. And a lot of times when we're super stressed, it's because we are violating some sort of a spiritual principle. And I love what John Maxwell says, like, even if you are a person of faith, great, you totally understand this and resonate with it. And if you're not, you still have like that, you're missing some sort of feeling maybe sometimes in your heart, and that can cause stress too. But peace really comes when we put our spiritual life first. And biblically, firsts are really, really, really important, which now I'm just realizing I love that we're doing this now only the first Wednesday of the month, because that's great. But the first of your morning, the first of your week, the first in your finances, the first in your marriage, like whatever that is, if you can increase your capacity by having the help of your faith, and for those of you that are people of faith, the help in God, then that's just going to continue to increase your capacity. And that doesn't mean, by the way, Dylan can attest to this, that when you're a person of faith, you have no stress. That doesn't happen. It doesn't go away. In fact, sometimes it's more. You might even have a little bit more, but your capacity does increase, and you have the peace to be able to deal with it, and you have the wisdom, and you have the great people around you to be able to do that. So it's up to you to be able to use your faith to increase your capacity. And I've got some good scriptures in here for those of you that want to know more about that too. And again, I know some of you are driving, so we'll send these out for sure. Yeah, Dylan, more of him, less of me. Totally. So good. So good. So the last thing I want to leave you with really quickly, we have 2 minutes, is if you just took 1% of your day, that's 15 minutes. So if you look at it, and a lot of us have heard this before, that we just want to get 1% better, or we want to be, 1% ahead. If you took 1% of your day, which would be 15 minutes, to work on increasing your capacity, whether that's putting your faith first, whether that's being in community, whether that's really working on your calling and what you were here to do, whether that's working on negative self-talk, and, increasing your mindset and your positivity, or whether that's just resting and recovering. Like you might just need to rest and recover. If you took 1%, 15 minutes of your day and focused on one of those things, your capacity will increase. And remember, the pressure is not ever going to necessarily go away. Like even if you, quit your job or retire or win the lottery, trust me, you're still going to have pressure somewhere else. Like the pressure is still going to be there in some way, shape, or form. It might not be as much in certain seasons, but it's still going to be there. So we have to learn how to increase our capacity. And I just want to challenge you guys to think about which of the 5 do you need to work on the most. So maybe think in your head right now of the 5 that you heard today, which one do you need to work on the most to increase your capacity? And then time block, put it in your calendar, just take 15 minutes and work on that, just 1% of your day, so that you can get 1% better. Lastly, I just want to remind you guys, Adam and I are launching a new community, speaking of communities for couples, called The Whole Couple. We're really excited about it. We have our first live stream. It's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, Thursday. And you guys you're probably on my email list and you've gotten an email. I'm sending another one out today. But we're really excited about this. And selfishly, we're doing this because we want to be in community with more couples that are like-minded, that want to grow, and not just grow in your business. That'll be a big piece of it, but grow in your wealth, in your health, in your spirituality, in your relationships, all of those things. We have some amazing guests lined up for the next 12 months that are going to be on to share their journey as a couple. So if you are a couple and you're looking to have growth in any of those areas of the wheel of life, I would invite you to be a part of our community. We're going to have a portion of it that's free and a portion of it that's paid. And obviously the paid portion there's more value, more things. But we are going to have like a free portion too, because we just want to create a great community. So stay tuned for an email on that. And if you don't get an email or you want to be a part of it, just email me, shoot me a DM, text me, call me, whatever. You guys know how to find me. And I'll send you the information. But we're doing an informational Zoom tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I would love to see you guys there. Okay, I'm 1 minute late. Thank you for being on. Have a great, blessed rest of your week. And I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, Jess. Hi, Jess. Bye, Jess. See you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good week.
My pleasure. See ya.